Welcome to Boss Babies and Bottles, also known as B3, hosted by me, Jessica with a Y, where we talk about how to successfully run a business and capitalize on your strengths while joining motherhood, in my case, twin motherhood, and throwing some crazy shebangs along the way. So pop that bubbly or grab that glass of wine and get ready to unwind.
Hey babes, we are back at Boss Babies and Bottles. I'm super excited to welcome today's guest, Mr. Eddy Naranjo. He is actually the owner, the CFO and co-owner of MPE Event Group down here in South Florida. For any of your needs in terms of all the cool stuff, that's what I always call when I introduce Eddy to any of my clients. I'm like, he does all the cool stuff. So DJ, lighting, cold sparks, confetti cannons, custom designs of vinyl wraps, and anything that has to do with, like I said, all the cool stuff. He's done a live champagne wall for me. He's done anything acrylic, anything out of wood. And let me tell you, this guy is a full-blown hustler. So I'm excited to bring him on with you guys. He is definitely, just like me, born and raised in the 305 and in Hialeah specifically. So thank you, Eddy, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit more about yourself in general.
A long story short, Cuban American, born and raised here in Hialeah, Florida, 305 till I die. I just love it here. Best place to ever grow up. Been hustling since the age of like 10. My father instilled in me that, you reap what you sow. So I've been reaping ever since. And it's one of those things where, right now I'm a new father. I have a 9-month-old, Noah Jean Naranjo. His first words were Dada. So,
of course you were.
So that means I'm his favorite. Depends on who you ask.
That's not true. We carry them for 9 months. We take care of them, and then they come out looking just like their dads and saying Dada. I'm not sure why.
It just happens. I have a beautiful wife. Her name is Vanessa. Been together for 3 years. Started up this event company with my partner Mario back in 2015, MPE Event Group. And we've just been, doing our thing, staying in our lane, and just doing epic events for the last 5 years.
Yep. And like I said, guys, like anything that's cool, anything that's in, anything that needs whatever, they are definitely the guys to go to. And so it's super exciting to have them here today because what they've been able to do with their business is amazing in just these few short 5 years, you just said, since 2015. So that's great. So what did you originally study, Eddy? What did you start out doing? We know now what you do.
So my parents have a printing company. And since they have a printing company, I've been doing graphics the majority of my life. So right after high school, I went into college, the university. Yeah, it was Miami-Dade. I was with Miami-Dade.
Mm-hmm.
And after Miami-Dade County, I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale. And I just studied digital graphics for like about a year.
Oh, wow. And
I was supposed to be there for like 3 years. Didn't really make it. After 1 year, I just said, listen, this just isn't for me. And I think life as a class, So
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what I've been studying my entire life.
Yeah, I always say that. I always say, like, my degree is great and what I did was great, but at the end of the day, what really got me to where I am was experience and getting out there and just doing things. And, one of the things I love about Eddy and the MPE group is that no matter what I need, no matter what crazy idea I come up with, you guys always find a solution for it.
Absolutely. That's important.
He never tells me no.
Oh, that's not in my vocabulary. You can't say no. It's not a no. It's let's see how we can make this happen.
Let's see how we can figure it out. Exactly. And I think that that's kind of the mentality, I try to teach, my listeners, you girls, my boss babes, is because like sometimes, you can't say no. You just have to say yes and figure it out along the way, and that kind of mentality really gets you far in life. And sometimes it's a little scary because we say yes to things that we have no idea if we can do.
Absolutely.
So figuring it out is the really big thing. And that's what you guys do. And that's what I really love about you guys. So
that's the fun part.
Yeah, that is the fun part, right? And then the stories of how you figured it out, that's even funner.
Yes.
So let's chat about events in itself. What is your favorite part of an event?
My favorite part of the event would have to be the designing process. To just sit down and to just see, okay, what's the theme? All right, now you can have a theme, and then, all right, now how are we going to execute that theme? Because anybody could be like, hey, I want to do like a little mermaid theme, and just have some little fishes around the walls. But it's just like, no, it's like, let's really bring this theme to life. Like, what can we do? So I love sitting down with a design team. I'm a creative person, but I'm even more creative when I sit down with a person, like yourself. Hey, you sit down and you already know, hey, listen, I want to do this, and this. And I'm just like, why? I'm like, what's the purpose behind that? And you tell me, and it's like, okay, like let's make this happen.
Yeah, because it's easy to do just a boring theme or just like the basics in a theme, but really bringing it out in a different kind of way. And we were able to do this, and we'll chat a little bit more about it. But in a suite, in a 15s that we just did, which down here we call them quinces, we really brought this idea, this big vision to life. And so bouncing back ideas is definitely something that I think you guys
yeah. The walkthrough is critical. Like, I love doing a walkthrough of a blank canvas. We walk through, everything is blank, and then you're telling the client everything, but they don't really get it. And it's not until 1 hour before the guests get there. That is my favorite part, that you really see, and you're just like, we just nailed this. And these people are just going to say, damn, they just outdid themselves.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part. The 1 hour before everybody walks in, that has to be my favorite part of just the transformation of the entire room. When
we, as vendors, finally get to enjoy everything that we've just put together, and when the clients get to see it for the first time, it's a really great moment. That's actually probably one of my favorites as well. That's awesome.
It is. That'll always be my favorite part of this entire job process. It's amazing to see the overall picture and just be like, okay, this is awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, the creativity that you have with your designs and how you come up with all these new ideas, I mean, where do you get some of your inspiration from?
Honestly, it's a big part comes from my planners. Bigger part comes from my peers. If you're not looking at your competition, then, like, what are you doing? Some people are doing, some people will start off with a regular wall, and then it's just like, okay, like, how can I escalate this? How can I make this better? All right. You may be like, hey, Eddie, like, do me a bubble, do me something, I want something in the ceiling. You're always escalating to see how can I improve. If you're not improving, then you're dying. It's one of those. So my peers are a big part. I always see what people in my industry are doing. How are they stepping up the bar? So it's one of those things that is like, that's where my inspiration truly comes from. And then just collaborating with planners and then putting all that together. And then it's just like, okay. And then, I have a lot of things that I'm able to do. So I'm able to do some pretty amazing things.
Yep. Especially with your shop and everything, you guys can put together just all these cool things, and you guys build things from the bottom up, which is, not a lot of people do in the industry. So being able to do that really kind of, I feel like, lets you guys be super creative and actually be able to give us all these amazing things that we would never have had. So I love that. So tell us, I guess, about what your hardest event was in your career. What happened?
Oh, wow. I had to really think about this one, but one just stood out. This happened a couple of years ago. Before I even got married, I was engaged. So I had to do this 3-day wedding. It was down south in about Key Largo, Florida. In my opinion, it was just like one of those, like a nightmare, because beforehand, everything was perfect. We talked about it, talked to the planner, talked to the bride and groom. They were from 2 separate religions, okay? So there was a lot of, there was 2 ceremonies going on, a welcoming party, day of reception. There was just a lot of things going on. And at the end of the day, it was difficult because there wasn't really any teamwork. It was with a bunch of people that I didn't know, and me thinking, well, the planner's going to let us know exactly what we all have to do, and get there, and the planner really doesn't have as many answers as she should for that caliber of a wedding. So, so we're there, we're setting up everything. First day, Friday, it's the welcoming party. All the guests are going to get there at 6 p.m. We set everything up. It was about 600 feet of bistro lights. It was about 30 uplights, audio. We had a bunch of different sections throughout the outside for about 150 guests. And it was said there was a 50% chance of rain. And I was like, at 1 p.m. when we got there, hey, we should not set up because it's going to rain. No, it's fine. It's fine. It went down to 30. It's going to go right by us. And I was like, okay. I'm like, let's start setting up then. And we set everything up. And at 5:35, 20 minutes before the guests are about to arrive, the skies opened up and it downpoured, a complete downpour. And at that point, the place where we were at was very large. It was a huge venue. It was Hawks K. So to be able to go from one place to another, you'd have to go by car because you're talking about 2 or 3 blocks away. So then to now take everything over there, because the guests are already getting there. So the guests are being redirected back to the hotel. And then once they're there, there's nothing set up, nothing. So then we have to pull whatever we can. The most important thing is to get audio up. So we grab the audio equipment, we grab the uplights, which is the easiest thing to grab, take it over there, set it up, and at least they can at least enjoy their party. But then, of course, those are the little difficult things that happen that afterward you start talking with everybody that is like, oh, but the bistro lights aren't up. And it's like, listen, you can't set that up in the middle of guests. It can't happen. Like your planner should have had a plan B. She should have been like, hey, guys, it's a 50% chance of rain. Anything over 20%, don't take the risk. And then Friday, so that was Friday. Saturday, ceremony was supposed to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. So that's fine, absolutely okay. So we started setting up at 6 a.m. What happened? She wanted an outdoor ceremony, and it was going to rain. So since it was going to rain, we're like, listen, you have to move it indoors. And they were just completely opposed to the idea of moving it indoors. It was like, listen, you need to move this indoors.
Yep.
And they said, absolutely not, until 2 hours before they moved it indoors, but they weren't happy about that. And I understand, it's not your ideal situation, but if Mother Nature doesn't compare, it is what it is.
I know, and I think that that's always the hardest thing for clients, especially brides. Like you have this vision of having everything outside and everything, you have this, this grand vision that you paid for, which I totally understand. And then the weather comes. And it's the one thing that I always try to prep them for, because it's the one thing we cannot control.
No, you have no control over that whatsoever. It's one of those things where, that's where I give it to my good planners. Leadership is so important, and it all comes down to teamwork. Because without that, you'll ruin the entire event.
Yep.
And and then the second ceremony at 4 p.m., they wanted to do it outdoors. And they were so persistent that we did it outdoors just to please the client. And what happened in the middle of ceremony? It started to rain. And it's just one of those scenarios where it was just horrible. And then it just sucks because the client gets upset with the production company. And then when you have the call 2 weeks later about, how did we do? And they're like, oh, you ruined our wedding. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I didn't ruin your wedding. I told your planner and she just didn't want to listen. Yep. And then it becomes a back and forth thing, which is very uncomfortable because how we work. And it's just like we execute everything perfectly. But if you don't have that leadership there, it's just you fail, Yep.
At the end of the day, the planner is the one that talks through with everybody 100% and makes sure that everything runs the way it should from client to vendors.
No, yeah.
But audio is such a hard thing to set up. It doesn't take you guys 5 minutes. What you guys do takes you hours.
We have to prepare. For audio, we have to see where we could put the sound to not get a feedback, to make sure the wind isn't hitting correctly.
Exactly.
You don't get stuffled noise. It's a lot of things behind it because the problem is that if I skip out on a little process and in the middle of ceremony, you get a massive feedback, I just ruined everything.
Of course.
And then it's just like, it's a lot of, that's why I give it to, people like yourself, planners are just, without a planner, a good planner, it just goes downhill from there.
Mm-hmm. And production, like I said, just takes so much. And it's one of those obvious mistakes I always tell people. Like, you don't want to skimp on spending money on your production audio DJ team. If your caterer messes up your food, only you will know. You know, let's say they gave you carrots instead of broccoli, you're the only one that's going to know. But if your DJ messes up or your production team messes up in some sort of fashion, everyone, all of your guests can tell.
No, yeah, it's what I tell my brides. A photographer, he's meeting with you several times a month and away, planning up the location where you're going to take your shots. A caterer, you have a test team, you try their quality of food, you go through everything is done beforehand. Production company DJ, we have that one day, that those 6 hours, all right, 8 hours, 10 hours. If we don't hit it on the money on that day, we failed.
Yep.
You know, like, we don't have time to prep. We don't have nothing. We just need to set up what we do, and we have to deliver. And if we don't deliver, there's no, oh, let's redo it again. No, it doesn't happen that
way. No, it doesn't. You're 100% right. It's one of those things. So I guess let's chat about the last few events that we've done. I mean, we've done some killer, crazy events. And in the last few months, I feel like we've put together some really amazing ones. We had a huge 24 by 24 floor wrap for one of my Indian couples, which was absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
That you guys not only designed, but also laid down, which was great. We had this quince, guys, that was, again, it's a 15s. It's very traditional down here in South Florida for the Hispanic community. I would say we went all out. This is one of these few clients that she was like, I just want this to be epic. And she literally allowed us to kind of come up with all these crazy, crazy ideas. So we had this idea of doing a live champagne wall, which Eddy built from scratch, which was amazing. It was 5 different panels of hedge, if I'm not mistaken, of hedge wall.
That's correct.
With, I think, 6 different holes in it. And I had 3 people back there just literally passing out champagne, like through these little holes that he made, which was, I mean, when I tell you epic, it was epic. We added real flowers to this wall. You did an acrylic sign for it with the girl's name on it. And that was just one of the many aspects of this 15s. We also had a magazine box as people walked in, backdrops, LED screens, a floor wrap, so much lighting. I mean, tell us about that event. To me, that was like one for the books for sure.
Yeah, that was one out there. I mean, that would be your all out. That would be like that's the typical MPE package. You know, like, you got it all from us. It was one of those where the client was very open. She was extremely sweet. The couple were great, and they were just like, listen, give us your ideas and just roll with it. Gave us free reign to do whatever we wanted to do, and the venue was perfect because it was a blank canvas. So we went in there. We set up everything outdoors, which was amazing. The temperature was...
We had good weather.
The weather was phenomenal. So we did a live hedge wall. It was a 20-foot hedge wall, 20 by 8. They wanted, a live champagne wall. Give them a live champagne wall. 3 stirs in the back. There's some acrylic lettering and her monogram on it. Apart from that, we did a stage to elevate the DJ. We did wireless uplights, intelligent lighting, and we did wash lighting to wash the entire back. On top of that, we had an LED screen. We had CO2 cannons. We had a confetti blaster.
We did.
We had the cold sparks.
Yep.
A 24 by 24 dance floor. We had a backdrop station, and we had a magazine that was a red carpet entrance.
Yep. And the magazine wall is super cool. If you guys haven't seen this, make sure to check it out on their Instagram or ours. We're going to link it all up at the bottom for you guys. It's this box that people would walk in and had an acrylic front. And the front, we designed it to look like a magazine. And then when you stepped inside, you took a picture and it looked like you were literally on the cover of a magazine. It was awesome.
That's right. It was personalized all around. The entire front was personalized. I think it was Miami Nights.
Yep.
Was the theme as well. This entire theme went well together. You know, the colors, black, white, the greenery. It was a very modern, chic, chic. It was just an epic Sweet 15s. The client was very important on the grand entrance. She really wanted a grand entrance.
Yep.
So it was all about when the girl got there to do the spotlight for her when she was actually there, as she walked into all of her guests. She did, what we typically do in the 15s is either a dance or the giving of the flowers, what she did. And then we just started off the entire party was Cold Sparks. And then we just started off everything.
We had performers too, which were a separate company, obviously, but we had this performing company, which was these weird, I can't even explain them to you, but basically the costume was two girls in one costume, it felt like, and they would perform together. It was really cool. They called it Moving Water. I'm not sure if I would call it Moving Water. It was a little creepy, but it was also really cool. And we had also a lollipop aerialist as well, which I was scared for her because she was close to the edge, in my opinion. And we were at the penthouse of like the top floor of this building. And I was like, are you sure you want to be all the way on this edge? Like, you're not going to fall? And she was so confident. She was like, no, I'll be fine. But I was terrified for her. And
we had the 4 LED dancers as well.
Yes, we did. We actually did have some Hora Loca LED performers. It was definitely quite a party. You should definitely.
It was just a wow factor. It was literally a wow factor for all the clients. Everything. It just kept going. Every hour on the hour, there was a different element that changed. And that's what really just brought out everything in that Sweet 15s, that people were always entertained at every aspect. You had different stations when it came to sushi, when it came to food, when it came to a magazine booth, when it came to a backdrop, when it came to your champagne, when it came to the dancing, you were just entertained the entire time.
Exactly. And that's something huge that I always talk about, which I think I mentioned in a previous podcast, is having entertainment. You need to have at least one element per hour. If you're not having like a traditional sit down dinner or anything like that, like all the hours of which you're having something that isn't something already going on. For example, the ceremony, if it's a wedding or a sit down dinner, you need to have an entertainment. So you have 3 hours of dancing, you have to have at least 3 entertainment things, and so I'm very big on that. And this was a 5 or 6 hour party. Can't really remember right now. And we had so many different elements of entertainment. People didn't know where to look, because we had so many great things. And so
it was an amazing event. It was
100%.
A wow factor, the typical Sweet 15s that every girl deserves here in Miami.
Yeah. Very untraditional and yet totally Miami all at the same time.
Yes, absolutely.
And then my baby shower is actually something else that Eddie and his team helped me with. And we just did some really amazing things for that as well, which I think some of you have been able to see that on our Instagram. But not only did they create a custom floor wrap for myself and my little babies with our theme. Our theme was Make Mine a Double, because I have 2 babies. But they did a hedge wall. They did a custom LED. I mean, people are still talking about our CO2 confetti blast cannons that came out. Our dancers. I mean, this was a baby shower that should have really just been a party, but it was really a baby shower. I don't know what it was.
It was a party. It was a party. It was a baby shower. It was great. It was just great. People did not expect that.
No, definitely not. A lot of the older members of the family, a lot of my in-laws, family and all of that, they all came up to me at the end and they were like, this is not what I thought this was going to be. And I was like, well, it started at 7 p.m. It already shouldn't have been what you expected it to be. Hopefully.
No, yeah, it was great. It was great, Greg. Creating everything, the hedge wall. It was just the space. The space was small, and we just made it so much bigger. It was great. It was a perfect backdrop when people walked in. The part in the entrance, the bar sign, phenomenal. I mean, there were just so many cute things that you had going on in that baby shower. So there was just, not all events are completely over the top. But when you get a small event, all you got to do is focus on all the key parts to make it look beautiful.
Yep, and having different elements. Like when people walked in, there was a little bit of things for them to do at the beginning. So there was a little bit of baby shower to it. Then they would come in and grab a champagne. And so in the champagne cart, and then the first thing they saw was this beautiful custom floor wrap that led into a hedge wall with all the desserts out. And then they would come to us and say hello. And so there was that intro aspect. But then once the party started, it started. We had the dancers, the performers. We had a Colombian band come out. We had the confetti cannons with the CO2 and the cold sparks. So finding a way to figure out what you want to do in your event and separating the different things so that you have, again, all these different aspects of entertainment, because we also did have a photo booth. And so it was another different thing. So just, again, finding ways to be creative and to bring different aspects of events together. And as a production company, obviously you guys do an amazing job at that.
We try. Well, we always try to just, just make everything as clean. Clean is key. No mess, no like setting up may be a mess, but when everything is nice and done, everything has to be just behind the scenes, just exactly what you would, magazine quality shot.
Agreed. So then tell us about your top 3 events of running your own business. Obviously, for all of our boss babes that are listening and thinking about opening up their own businesses or already do, as a business owner, what are your top 3 tips to other business owners?
Organization is key. You could be unorganized in life. That's fine. We're all a little messy. We're all unorganized. I mean, that's absolutely okay. But organization is key. Like, I live and die by my iCalendar. My iCalendar, like, if you have a red dot, that means that day is completely booked.
I've seen your calendar, by the way. It's interesting the way you have it on your phone. He has it literally color coordinated. It's awesome.
Yeah, blue is family, all right, purple is meetings, and red are events.
Wow.
So I have it color coordinated, so I already know, okay, I have a family event, I have this event, I have this meeting. Because if you're not organized when it comes to that, I mean, the thing that people hate the most is for you to not take them serious.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make an appointment or something with somebody, you're asking them to take time out of their lives, give them the respect, to give them your time, because a lot of people find that disrespectful. So, a lot of things is just be very organized, at least in your business.
Agreed.
And that's my number 1 tip. My second tip was to never say no. I never say no to a client.
We talked about this, but this is an amazing tip. It really is. Don't say no.
People think that it's like not true. It's like, no, you can't say yes to everything. Yes, you can. And there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I don't actually know. I've always said yes to everything and I figure it out. And even if I can't do it, I will get it done. I will have somebody else do it, even by not making a profit, all right? But I will get it done for you. And then you will be amazed saying that, oh, he can't do that. Oh, I'm going to surprise you, So my thing is to never have no in your vocabulary, all right? So that's, for me, that is, one of the best ones. And then honestly, it's, I would just say always answer your phone.
I know it sounds crazy, but actually that's a really great tip, because you sometimes never know when a lead's going to come in, especially a good one.
A bunch of my friends, and it's like, oh, random numbers calling me or this and this. I'm like, pick it up.
Pick it up.
Like, no. And I'm like, no. Pick up your phone. Mm-hmm. I've gotten calls from California. I've gotten calls from Washington, from New York. I don't know these people. And I'm on vacation in Orlando holding my child, having a drink, and I get a call, and I'm just like, pause. I'm like, Eddie speaking, how can I help you? Okay, and they were like, hey, we want to talk about this event. And it's just like, yes, I know I'm on vacation. Yes, I know I'm doing this, but business is business.
Yeah, it's a constant hustle. That is for sure.
It's a constant hustle, and just take the time, the couple of minutes. Yeah, obviously, if you're doing something with your family, make it quick, but at least say, hey, let me get your contact information. As soon as I'm done, I will send you over everything that you just asked for. But just pick up your phone. A lot of people are like, no, text me. No, people want to talk to people. People want to interact with people. People want to be able to hear your voice so they feel more comforted.
Yep.
So if I'm talking to any person, just literally just pick up your phone and just talk to people. Just always be available for the client.
Yep, I agree. I always answer my phone, and sometimes it's annoying, especially as a business owner when you want to have a day off or whatever the case might be. But answering your phone is just so important, and it's terrible because sometimes, people call yes at the least opportune times when you don't want to be bothered. But it's okay. You know what I mean? You have to hustle.
You never know when opportunity is going to be knocking on your door.
Exactly. And you have to hustle. If you want it to work, and I always tell my girls, I'm like, swim or swim. That's what this is about. You know what I mean? You're going to succeed no matter what. And that takes a hustle and a determination that other people do not have,
I've been in a stadium in a concert and I've had to run to the bathroom to pick up a call, but I pick it up.
Yep, and it's not comfortable because that's not what you want to be doing, but it is what
not
it
what
is.
you want to be doing. But guess what? Like I'm a hustler, and that's what I want to do.
Yep, I agree. No, 100%. And it's, both me and my husband, as we always talk about, we're both, entrepreneurs. We both have our own business, and sometimes it's tough because if it's not me, it's him, and if it's not him, it's me, and it's, and sometimes, yes, we do have to separate some time for each other, and we make sure that we do that. But if one of our phones rings, we know it's like, you got to do what you got to do. It just is what it is. This is business.
This is his business.
Yep. Especially especially if you're just starting out, like there's just no way around that. Love those tips. All right. So tell us, if you could give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Say no to the Mercedes. You shouldn't have signed that lease. Okay. That was a big no. All right. You shouldn't have popped that bottle. You should have corked it back. All right. It's just the amount of money that you throw away when you're younger. It's really ridiculous.
Sometimes it is. Yes.
I would just say, just invest your money. If I would have been smarter when I was younger, life would have just been so much easier right now. Yep. I mean, I love the hustle, but I just wouldn't have had to hustle as much.
Yes. And I talk about this to the girls. I'm like, your 20s, as great as it is and as fun as it is, because the reality is, like, I had a blast. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah.
But you have to at the same time balance that with saving money and investing in yourself so that you can get to where you want to get to sooner, because it sucks to be in your late 20s and your early 30s and be like, oh, I just wasted 5 years.
Yeah.
And then being like, now I need to start from the beginning, even though I had all of this at one point, because a lot of people make, you can make good money. And especially if you're still living at home or your expenses, the younger you are, the less expenses you have, the more you should be able to save.
No, yeah. It's crazy that even now, like, I'm just like, I have all these expenses that I have, with business and with life. And it's just like, how did I make it happen? Like, why did I make it happen when I was younger, when I had no expenses? I only had a car payment and a little cell phone payment. And it's just like, and I was doing so many things. Like, why didn't I just make it happen back then? And it was just priorities, So if I was younger, if I could give myself some advice, just invest in yourself.
Yeah, have saved versus spent as much. Yeah, I get that. All right, so last question, because obviously this is the Boss Babies and Bottles podcast. What is your favorite bottle/drink?
My favorite bottle actually will have to be the ice waters. The flavored ice waters. It is an alternative to drinking Coke. When you love to drink sodas that you just, like, as a Coca-holic, Sprite-aholic, those type of things that when you drink, you get that little gas that you just love for.
Yeah.
Well, this takes care of that.
Yep.
So I literally, my fridge is always constantly stocked with ice waters.
Yeah, that is awesome.
It's the truth.
I have become a sparkling water snob, really. I love them all, but at the same time, I have my preference too. So I love that.
So that's my favorite.
Yep. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us on Boss Babies and Bottles. Eddy, thank you for being our special guest today. That was amazing. Thank you for your amazing tips as well. If anything that you guys need from Eddy, all his links are going to be at the bottom for you guys to check, as well as a special discount for you guys that just heard today. So super exciting. So if you need anything, of course, let us know. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to chat with you guys soon. So make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to our next episode and follow my craziness on Instagram at EBJ Events and at canal.twins. I promise you, something's always happening.